everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Behind Enemy Lines Hockey Podcast. I know it's been a while. Real life's been pretty busy. As you can see, I'm joined as always by my good friend Steve, who, as you probably can tell, is live on location in a remote broadcast.
We have taken the show on the road formally. The behind enemy lines budget has allowed the gas money for me to come to Motown, the Motor City, Detroit, live on location.
Yeah, watch for the bullets.
Yeah, I am behind glass looking for flashbangs, and if I duck quickly, you'll know why.
Yeah. So today's episode, we're gonna keep it pretty current and talk about Holy the goalie, what's going on in Montreal with the goaltending situation. Um, so on that line of thought, Steve, you have a goalie related trivia question for us.
Yeah, we'll dive into goalies, but right now, we'll bring everybody quickly up to speed. Sam Montembeault is in Laval, so right now we're carrying two rookie goalies on the roster, Jacob Fowler and Jacob Dobish.
Mm.
So we'll keep it goalie rookie related. And when was the last Montreal Canadiens rookie goalie to win the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year?
Okay. And for those keeping score at home, I got this one wrong too, and I can admit it, but we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see how many other people get it.
we
Uh,
we have a very very prominent history of goalies. So we have great ones. So it's easy to pick the wrong one in this
mhm.
in this category. So don't feel bad if you get it wrong as well.
Yeah. Um, this week coming up, I think we got three games before the Christmas break. We've got a back to back against Pittsburgh coming up Saturday, Sunday night. You want to touch on that a little bit before we get into the topic?
Well, yeah, we have a home and home against Pittsburgh, and then we have the last game before Christmas is Boston. If you follow along, we like to reference dailyfaceoff.com for our starting goalies. As of 7 minutes ago, no confirmed goaltender has been selected for tomorrow night's matchup.
Mhm.
My guess is, if I'm a betting man, hot take number one of this podcast is that Dobish will get the call at home to take a little bit of the pressure off Fowler, and I would expect him to start the backside. So I expect both goalies to play the
Mhm.
home and home. Don't show the same hand twice. I would expect Dobish to play home, Fowler to play on the road, and then we'll see who maybe the better performance is heading towards Boston.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't see any real shocking, change of events as far as the goaltending, who's going to play goes. I think your call is a smart call. Let Fowler play on the road. Let him, get a little bit sheltered from the Montreal fans and media. I mean, I don't think he needs it. He seems pretty confident, but yeah, I think he's okay.
Yeah, he has both of our goalies right now, Jacob and Jacob. So we kind of got a double tandem in a different way.
Yeah.
They seem both very passionate, very cool and calm. We had a guy like that before. I think he wore number 31. He was okay.
Mhm.
Carey Price was pretty calm back there. And I'm not suggesting these guys are Price. They're not anything like him yet.
Mhm.
But they both are at least composed enough where they're trying not to let the media, the pressure, and
Mhm.
the game and the situation overcome them. So
Mhm.
it's good to see that the temperament of both guys is the same. And I think that helps the 20 guys that we dress play pretty consistent in front of them.
Yeah. And just real quickly, back to the Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's seventh in their division. They're 14, what does that say? 14, 10, and 9. Pittsburgh's a beatable team. I think a back-to-back, it'd be nice to get, 3 points out of this for sure. I mean, four, I think, is attainable. I don't think that's being unrealistic. Boston always puts up a fight with us, so that's, six of one, half a dozen of the other.
Right.
I think 4 points before Christmas is a pretty realistic expectation for me.
Yes, and I would agree. I mean, you want to win them all, but clearly we don't.
Mhm.
And you got to start thinking in bunches because that's how this is going to set up, and that's how rotations of goalie playing minutes or rotating players into the lineup if we get to a healthy number where we have to scratch the odd guy.
Mhm.
Um, you're looking at, can we get points in bunches, and where's our best bet? So
Mhm.
I like the strategy, 4 points out of a possible six. I'd like to get greedy and have all six, but let's hope we get at least four before the break.
Yeah. Okay. So on that, we'll dive right into our goalie situation. I'll start off by just rhyming off some stats here right now. Um, Dobesh's numbers in the NHL, not horrible, but not really spectacular either. He's got a 2.91 goals against average, 893 save percentage. Monty, his NHL numbers are 365 goals against, 857 save percentage. I'm not going to harp on that because, we've beaten that horse, beaten it silly. His American Hockey League numbers now, let's provide it, it's only one game, but he's got a 5.09 goals against average and a .800 save percentage. Kaikkonen, American Hockey League, hasn't seen any NHL time this year. 2.88 goals against, 892 save percentage. Um, it's not, it's not horrible numbers, but it's not stellar, and it is the American Hockey League. I mean, he probably should have a little bit better numbers than that.
And Fowler's NHL numbers are 1-1-1, 332
Yeah.
goals against average, and 885 save percentage. So if we're looking at the three guys that have played the big league minutes, Fowler right now is in between what Monty was doing and what Dobish is doing.
Mhm.
Just for those keeping quick score at home.
Yeah. So statistically speaking, Fowler and Dobesh are the two best out of the four goalies. Best of the worst, I guess you would say, in our situation right now. Let's be honest. I don't know if it's because we've been spoiled over the years with, Price and Waugh and Dryden, back over the years. Like in our lifetime, we've been pretty fortunate with our goaltending situation.
Oh, I was going to say they're stellar goaltenders compared to Andre Red Light Rasico. So let's look from the bottom up.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I think we've got a lot of concerns, and I hear on a lot of the social media boards, other podcasts, everybody talking about, what to do with Fowler. Does he stay? Does he go? What do you do with him?
Yeah, and as a valid point, and I mean that's the hot take, right? Where does he fit into this? Coming out of camp, I think it was a preconceived notion that regardless of what he did, he was going to Laval. He's a
Mhm.
21-year-old kid. He's come out of college, went right to Laval. Needs some seasoning, see pro game. Yes, the puck is the same size. Yes, the equipment's the same size. Yes, the net is the same size, but you're going from a 23 or a 24-year-old kid firing slap shots at you to a 30-year-old.
Yeah,
That guy's got a little bit more game worn, firepower in his approach, and that puck's going to come faster.
yeah,
So there's a natural adjustment period.
yeah.
And then you want to make sure that you don't throw him right to the wolves.
Mhm.
So we find ourselves in an ugly predicament. We got off to a great start, and we talked about Dobish being in that Rookie of the Year. Could he be in the Rookie of the Year convo? I mean, currently, right now, I think he's tied with Brandon Boosie out of Carolina, with rookie goalie numbers, 12 wins, which is fantastic. But the other numbers are not stellar. All
Mhm.
three of our goalies at the NHL level have sub 900 save percentages, and surprisingly, we're 3 points out of first place in our
Yeah,
division.
yeah.
So
I think that's the overwhelming or looming stat is, for as rough patches we've hit over the last, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, we're still right in it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but then again, so is that North Tonawanda dumpster fire because they're only 7 points out. So
Yeah.
we keep harping on them, and we were talking just as we were going to go live here, and from first to worst is 7 points,
Hmm.
and so it means you got to leapfrog a lot of teams, and we know that if you play Frogger on the highway, you don't always make it.
Hmm.
So you don't want to put yourself too far behind for much longer.
Hmm.
But it just goes to show that even with the brain fart that we've had stopping a rubber disc, we're still there.
Yeah.
So
And I think Fowler's numbers, like when you talked about bringing goalies up from, the American Hockey League to the NHL. I mean, we all know I mean, not personally because we've never played in the NHL, but it's a faster game. The players are faster, stronger. The passes are quicker. Like those cross crease seam passes are, they come in quicker, they come in faster, they're crisper, they're more likely to be, you know, on the spot where they need to be. So that's where these goaltenders need to be better. Like you say, the equipment's all the same, but it's the skill of the player. And I don't see a huge drop off from his NHL numbers and his from his American Hockey League numbers, which is a sign to me that, sign of hope that, he does have the skill and he just maybe needs a little bit more of an adjustment period to the speed.
right. So how did we get here?
Hmm.
Right? That's the captain obvious question of the day. It's easy. Sam Montembeau, or as I've started to refer to him as Sam Montembeaus,
Hmm.
has struggled.
Hmm.
Here's a guy who was released from Florida. We picked him up, and we had some pretty rough years, and he played admirably well. And then last year, it seemed like he was going to take us the next step. He put up good numbers, over 30 wins, kept us competitive. This time last year, and really it was this time last year, we were right down in the bottom four of the league. It did not look good. And Monty still strapped that equipment on and kept a positive frame of mind, and we got into the playoffs.
Hmm.
Um, I'd, I'd like to think he had some amnesia over the summer or fell off his bike or something, but it seems like he's forgot how to stop a puck,
Hmm.
sadly. And nobody wants to see it. Again, we play for this, right? We pay for the logo on the front. We're all about wins, and we want any guy in our team to be the best guy that he can be. But boy, has he ever had a mental reset in his game.
Hmm.
That being said, the Montreal Brass were forced into a decision. What do we do with them? Well, we didn't play them. Dobish was playing, and they decided to call Jacob Fowler up from Laval.
Hmm.
And you start to, as a fan and an armchair quarterback coach, that we try to manage the goalies and say, are we carrying three? If you do you one and one? Do you take a turn on this one backing up or that one starting? And the goalie carousel, it could be good internal competition, but really players need to play. Then all of a sudden, emergency conditioning stint down to Laval.
Hmm.
So what does that mean? For those that don't know the ins and outs of every rule, they have 14 days or 5 games. And you hope that the end result is you get your definitive answer.
Hmm.
And you read off his stats. He got shelled for 4 goals on 24 shots. Now, good God, that's not what you want to happen. I
No.
mean, ultimately, that is the worst outcome that we want.
Well, because that only just messes with his head more. Like that, his doubt and self-confidence must be just bottoming out. Like he's down at the bottom of the pit in Silence of the Lambs, waiting to just get toasted. Like it's,
I don't think he'd want to go out and play Timbits hockey at this
yeah,
rate.
yeah,
Because heaven forbid, little Billy who can't skate and is still wearing bob skates snipe one by him because you'd want to have to retire at that point. But, you know,
yeah.
I understand the logic on why we sent him down
Mhm.
because twofold. A, regains his confidence and maybe plays against lesser talent. And B, you get a chance to evaluate maybe the franchise goalie, right? Because that's what he was. That's kind of what he's been pegged as Jacob Fowler.
Mhm.
So you're like, okay, he goes down there, he plays his 5 games, he comes back up. Let's hope he wins 4.
Mhm.
But let's put the shoe on the other foot.
Mhm.
What if he loses 4?
Yeah. What do you do with
Then
him then?
do we send him off to Kazakhstan
Hmm.
and get some bootleg vodka for him? I it's an answer. I mean, I don't think he'd win a junior hockey at this rate.
Yeah.
Our hometown Oshawa Generals could use a goalie, but I don't think they'd want Montembeau at this point.
Yeah.
You
Like,
know,
and it's kind of because I know we've all talked about it before, and everybody says the same thing. Don't rush him. Don't rush him. I think Fowler shouldn't be put in. You're going to ruin him. I mean, we know many people on the discussion boards on Facebook that you and I chat with. I'm not going to mention names, but talking about, what they should do. But the problem isn't what they should do with them. The problem is, what else are you going to do? Right? It's easy to
Right.
say send Fowler back down because you're going to ruin him. And well, what do you do? Because the only other option you have is bring Monty up or bring up Kaikkonen. And Kaikkonen's numbers aren't even stellar in the American Hockey League, let alone the NHL. So, like, it's fine to have the answer, or sorry, it's fine for you to think you have the answer to the question, but you need a solution that's going to be acceptable as well.
Agreed. And I think the whole point in Hughes and Gorton deciding to bring up Fowler now was let's give him a body of work,
Mhm.
right? He comes up, he wins his debut, and you're thinking, okay, great. Then he plays game two back to back. He plays another one. He loses in overtime. Again, power play goal in overtime, 4-on-3. It was a hell of a shot by Miller.
Mhm.
So he gets three of a possible 4 points.
Mhm.
You got to go back to Dobish. Then Fowler plays again, and he loses at home. Um, Gave away a puck. Probably regrets a couple decisions. Was he overwhelmed? Was he just not ready? Did the
Learning
timing
curve.
catch? You know, he's a professional and he's got to learn.
Mhm.
Dobish comes back, and I will say he gets a win against Chicago, but he had like 16 shots. He was not overworked for once, right? And that's we don't often destroy a team in shots, but we more than doubled Chicago,
Mhm.
who was playing without Bedard,
Mhm.
but we were still the more dominant team. So, you look at what Fowler does. Are you going to send him back after one game, two games? They didn't bring him up to sit him. They brought him up for a chance to play. The playing means, what does this kid offer us? Does he offer us immediate success? What if he was to win five in a row like Dobish did? Then you're saying, oh boy, do we ever have two rookies that could carry the weight? But he hasn't done that.
Yeah.
His numbers are mediocre in 3 games, but again, small body of work.
Mhm.
So I see him getting one more game before Christmas, maybe two. Maybe Dobish loses against Pittsburgh and he wins, and then they put Fowler back in against Boston.
Mhm.
Then we've got a decision to make.
Mhm.
What does that mean? Do you have a direction that you think it should go? Because it might be different than mine.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that there's a particular direction that I have in mind. I think from earlier episodes, you'll recall we both agreed that Fowler would see some NHL time this year. Probably not till later on, closer to the end of the season. But with the, in essence, non-injury emergency situation we're in with the goaltending issues, something had to be done, and I think. I honestly think Hughes didn't want to call him up yet, but I think really he had no other choice that, they had to try something. Um, is there goalies in the trade market? Maybe they've been looking, couldn't find anything. Maybe they're not at the point where they're trying to look for a trade for a goalie, but something had to be done, and this was the easiest, most obvious uh, first solution or first try at solving the problem. And like you say, give him a body of work to see where he's at and see how he's progressing.
And I agree. I don't think this was the first choice. I don't think the plan was let's call him up by Christmas and give him a whirl. But at the same time, I respect the general manager for not panicking and saying, okay, now we're screwed. Let's go out and get said goalie. Right now, the goalie market is not great. Toronto's had their third and fourth string goalies up there. Boosie in Carolina was not he was in the minors to start the year. So, and LA's got goalie issues. Jari just got hurt.
Yeah,
Like
Jari
you
just
you
got on IR. Yeah,
you go up and down the list. It's not like there's a fountain of goalies where teams are looking to dump them off.
yeah,
You want one, you're going to pay a premium.
yeah.
So I think they've done the right thing by experimenting. Now they're going to be backed into that corner on what to do. So we talked about this. You hope that Monty would have gone down there and played well.
Mm,
If he plays 3 games or 4 games and he has a losing record, we're in trouble.
mm,
We're in trouble because that asset isn't worth, pardon the language, it's not worth shit at this point,
yeah,
right? Because if we're saying, hey, here's a washed up guy who is now not cutting it, what other team wants him?
yeah. You're stuck with him.
You
Yeah.
know, so here's how this works. He's down there. He did not have to clear waivers because it was for conditioning. If he plays 4 or 5 games and doesn't play well, and we say, let's leave him in Laval because that's the only place where he can't hurt us, he then has to go on waivers. I
Mm.
think they can apply for another 2 game extension, but it's a one off. At some point, the harsh reality is you're going to have to put him on waivers.
Yeah.
Does he
Decision
get
will have to be
claimed?
made.
Does he get claimed? Not with the numbers he's got, but if Toronto's got 2 goalies hurt and another one should get hurt, they might have a choice. Let's be honest. They took Caden Primo.
Hmm.
They
Yeah.
then put him back on waivers, and that could happen to Montembeault. But you would have to run the risk of putting him on waivers.
Well, I think the I have a couple concerns or a couple questions, and one of them is like you just mentioned, what if you get to a point where Monty's not cutting it in the NHL, which he isn't for whatever reason. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not a huge Monty fan, but I'm not a throw him under the bus guy. He's had some good stints and good numbers in the NHL with us that were pretty good, but not
Right.
he wasn't stealing the show, but he kept us in some games. But right now he's not doing it. He's down in the American Hockey League. He's not. He doesn't like. He's got no confidence. You just see it in the way he plays. You just see it the way he carries himself. He's a defeated man. But what, like you say, what do you do with him if he's not successful in the American Hockey League on a conditioning stint that you're stuck with him? But secondary to that, I mean, I know it's all about the big club, but how does that affect Laval? Laval's in a run now where I think they're first in their division. They're making a run for potential deep playoff run and development of certain players. How does that affect that? That's got to affect that too, and you got to be concerned about that.
Right. I mean, I don't worry so much about Laval from that point of view, and here's why. Their players there are on 2-way contracts, and some of them are on one-way deals only to be Laval players. That team is in place to support the big club.
Mhm.
So it's big club first. If Laval was to win the Calder Cup and be successful in their playoffs, that's fantastic because every team wants to win a championship. But you shouldn't worry about that team winning a championship at the success of what your NHL team should be.
Mhm.
So, the options are we have to leave Monty there. It's who do you call up? Let's just say Monty stays in Laval. He's not successful. He doesn't get claimed and he stays there. Do you call Fowler back up to protect all your assets and you run him for the year until another goalie opens up? Do you call Kakinen up? And if he shits the bed too, you send him down. He's got to clear waivers
Mhm.
because the other two Jacobs, for lack of a better term, they can go back up and down. They don't have to clear.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean we have to. If we pull one down or pull one up, we've got to send a veteran somewhere. So we're going to be in a pickle of what if another team does claim one of our veterans? Now we're short a goalie. Now we're trying to scramble and find another goalie. And you can only go out and get so many Zamboni drivers,
Yeah.
right? So I'm hoping that Fowler plays well in his next start, and if that means he has to stay, then that means he has to stay.
Yeah,
If
I'm
we
not
deter,
against the idea. I don't know why people get so upset about, oh, you're ruining him and he's going to be. No, I don't think so. I mean, everybody's got to remember, Carey Price even went down for a conditioning stint, right? So it's not like you say,
but
Fowler's 21 years old. Goaltenders usually don't come into their own till 25, 26 anyways. So,
let's be honest. If you go back and look, Carey Price came in out of junior. He went to the minors in the AHL, won a Calder Cup. And was one of the reasons behind it. Came up to the NHL, got off to a good start as a rookie, but then lost his starting job to Yaroslav Halak.
mhm,
And it's only when Halak kind of had a couple of brain farts that Price took back over, and I think the maturity factor kicked in, and he took his game to another level.
mhm,
Am I suggesting one of our 2 rookie goalies could be like that? You never know.
mhm,
I'm not saying no, but nobody, we all have a short memory when we realize Carey Price is going to be in the Hall of Fame. He won everything but a Stanley Cup, but it wasn't the easiest path for him to do that either.
mhm. Yeah, and he didn't play on some really. He played on some pretty crappy Montreal teams. Let's be honest.
He played with only one 80-point scorer
Mhm.
in his career, and that was Kovalev.
Yeah.
Had one 80-point season. Jakub Dobish has played 1 year in the NHL. He's already had a 180-point season from Nick Suzuki. And right now you've got two of them. You've still got Suzuki and Caulfield on pace to do two guys with 80 points.
Mhm.
So Price was the team. I hope we don't ever find ourselves in that boat, but we need an in between from what Price was to what these guys are doing now. We got to get to higher ground.
Yeah. Well, and again, we talked offline before we started this about, the goaltenders, who's out there, what they're doing with their teams. And like you say, there's so many teams right now looking for goalies that are like honestly in worse shape than us, which is kind of scary for goaltending. Like the goaltending is going to be at a premium now because teams know what they got. You want their goalie, they know there's three, four teams out there are starving, desperate for a goalie. It's a seller's market. What are they going to have to give up to get that? I'm not prepared, and I'm not prepared to do that. I don't
And
think
it,
we're in dire straits yet.
and that I think that's why Hughes and Gorton have gone this road is to call Fowler up so
Mhm.
we don't panic, right? We've used this term before, asset management. What does that mean? Know what you have, know what it's worth, and be able to use it to its maximum advantage. A team with three goalies, Buffalo Sabres would be one of them that comes straight to
Mhm.
mind. They've got three goalies, and Devon Levi's in the minors. That's not where they want to have him, but they don't want to dump him off for free,
Mhm.
right? The Florida Panthers made this decision a couple years ago. They had goalie issues. They had Bobrovsky there. Alex Lyon came up and was playing well. They had a young kid. I don't know if it messed with his head, his mind. He ended up in the player assistance program. Came out of that, and now, if memory should serve anybody correctly, he was an absolute stud against us the other night, and that's Spencer Knight.
Mhm.
And he was a cast off because they just moved on from him,
Yeah. Well,
right?
you
So
mentioned Devin Levi. I just brought up real quick. He's got 279 goals against and a 906 save percentage right now with Rochester, Dumpster Fire Jr. I mean, that's pretty respectable numbers. And like you say, if they're stuck with him in the American Hockey League. He doesn't belong there because I think he is an NHL quality goalie. And if they've got them three goalies, but that's one goalie. And you've got probably what, five teams right now that are in desperate need of a goalie. The numbers
minimum,
don't,
minimum.
yeah. So the numbers don't add up to a buyer's market.
So in order to get said goalie, whether it's Ukko-Pekka Lankinen or Devon Levi, or you're prying somebody out of that system, you better come with a solid offer early and hope you do it on the quiet. Because if it becomes a bidding war, Buffalo's going to make off like bandits,
Mhm.
and that's not it should never be. But if that's what the market dictates, they will win.
Mhm.
So I like the approach that Hughes and Gordon have got right now. Is let's see what we got from within
Yeah.
that asset management that I talk about, knowing what your guys can do. So, do I think Fowler should stay? For the moment, I'm going to say he's played well enough that we can keep playing him. But I also think that Dobish deserves more back to backs and playing two of three every time and not rotate one in, one out, one in, one out. We're not making the playoffs, and we're not going to go far if we do make the playoffs if that's the mentality.
Mhm.
At some point, the team needs to say, "This is our team, but this is our guy."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
every good team has a guy.
Yeah. So I just want to throw this at you real quick. I mean, I know what ifs and rainbows and ponies and all that. If we had had this team that we have now is far superior than a Montreal team we've had over the last 10 or 12 years. I mean, I don't think that's a secret. How good would our team be if we had had Carey Price in net now? It'd be crazy.
We'd win a Stanley Cup with this roster
Yeah, yeah. It'd
because
be nice.
we talk about what does a goalie provide you, right? What do you expect from a goalie?
Yeah.
You want your goalie to make the saves when they need to make the saves. They don't have to stand on their head and make every save a highlight reel save. But when you're pinned and hemmed in your own zone, you want that goalie to maybe kick out a pad, make a blocker save, freeze a puck, and calm the five players to say, "Hey, I got you."
Mhm.
I don't know that we're playing with that style right now. Dobish played well the other night for the 16 shots, made a couple good saves at the end of the first period to keep it at 1-1.
Mhm.
But we really didn't allow Chicago too many shots. They didn't get rebound shots, second shots.
Yeah.
We don't play that organized most nights, so we've got to come up with something better. Is
Mhm.
it a trade? We've talked about that, and we can speculate till we're blue in the face. If it's a trade, I hope it's not for a goalie first,
Mhm.
unless there's a deal out there that we can't refuse.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think we're in that situation where we need to make a panic move because honestly, I think that's all it would be is a panic move. Um, so we'll go right on. We'll dive into the final thoughts here, and the cat will get out of my face here in a minute. Um,
Another cameo.
yeah,
So
another cameo. Loki's in
a
the show.
cameo. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you got for final thoughts? What's your final thoughts on our goalies?
Uh, my final thoughts is moving forward for the rest of the year. Dobish has to be your number one guy. I think he's earned it. A smaller body of work over one season plus. I mean, he's got 30 games under his belt now. I think you have to give him the reins for the rest of the year. He's looked good more times than he's not looked good, and I like his athleticism and his passion. I think he's earned to be the guy, unless you go make a trade and go and hit the home run.
Mhm.
But if we have to play with the personnel that we have without a trade, I think he's your number one guy. And at this point, yes, it's a small body of work, but I feel more confident with Fowler in net than I do with Monty in net.
Absolutely. I don't
You
think
know,
that's a shocking. That's
yeah,
not a hot take.
and that shouldn't catch anybody by surprise, and
Yeah.
probably not even Montalbo's family would
Yeah.
be surprised by that statement. And again, it's no disrespect to Sam, right?
Mhm.
Sammy has played well for us, but goalies are a different breed. I had a daughter who was a soccer goalie, same thing, different breed.
Mhm.
They have to be at a certain level, a certain mindset, and a certain, they have to have certain preparations that they have to do in superstitions. And at some point, I don't know if someone's got a voodoo doll or something that's spreading that guy's legs apart or keeping his arms sewed to his body, but at some point he's just having a hard time stopping a puck.
Mhm.
So if I'm a betting man and I was trying to ride this out, um, however we lose Monty, we'd have to lose him. I would hope that another team gets even more desperate and we're able to flip him in the deal. Even if that's getting a snow cone machine back, I'm
Mhm.
okay sending him somewhere else, or a cat leash maybe, um, cat harness for the cameo.
Mhm.
But we got to do something.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's all about the logo on the front of the shirt getting wins. I'd be prepared to play with the two kids, Dobish and Fowler. One of them is going to motivate the other one, and if that's the personnel we deal with, I think that's our greatest chance to win,
Mhm.
personally.
So I think first off, I don't see any scenario where Kaikkonen gets called up. I mean, if he gets called up, we're in a real world of hurt. Um, I would rather lose Monty on waivers than bring him back up, to be honest with you. I'm of the inkling now that uh, the two Jakes are going to be our guys to finish the year. Um, but be smart with Fowler. Like you say, give Dobesh the majority of the work and give Fowler spot starts, but be smart about it. Give him starts like where you can set him up for success, right? If you're going to start him against Colorado four times, he's going to get shellacked four times, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Picking the starts at the right spot at the right time can help him more here than anything in the American Hockey League. And like you say, barring a major trade, I just don't see any other viable option.
yeah, and I agree. I mean, if you look at, and let's just jump off subject to tie this in, but when the Leafs had Austin Matthews, he was terrible in his own end as a rookie. So 90% of the time he came on the ice, it was in the offensive zone first
Yeah.
because they didn't want to pin him in his own end. So can you do that with a goalie? Absolutely.
Mhm.
Play him on the road. Play him against a team that's maybe playing 3 games in 4 nights, or you're playing, the Columbus Blue Jackets, and they're playing their backup goalie in Montreal.
Mhm.
There's ways that you can give them home starts against weak teams, teams that are full of injuries,
Mhm.
and or on the road against subpar back to back.
Yeah.
You can do it. It doesn't mean you have to give them 10 more games. We're going to come into an Olympic break. Um, and, is some guys going to get some rest? But don't know that Dobish is going to get some rest. I think he stands a good chance to play for Czechia.
Mhm.
He's one of the guys like Dan Vladar that could see Olympic time. So, is he going to get rested? Not at that rate.
Mhm.
But I think we can. I think we can ride Jake the Snake times two. And I think we can be successful. I don't think it hurts us
Mhm.
long term. Some Facebook groups and members are going to disagree. But if that's the best, if we're doing what's best for the organization, those two are the best of the four we got.
Yeah. So I think we're in agreement. The two Jakes are the ones to finish out the year, like you said, unless Hughes has some big move up his sleeve that nobody's anticipating. But again, I don't want to give up, the farm, so to speak, for a goalie. I don't think we're at that point. I think people are panicking prematurely.
Unless it's a blockbuster-ish type of move where you're getting another goalie from another team and another centerman,
Mhm.
and you're giving up Montembeau going the other way because they need another goalie and they're prepared to take him, change the scenery, might do him some good, and we're sending a prospect and a first round pick. If it's a blockbuster type deal, then I'm in.
Yeah.
But if it's just let's just throw shit against the wall and see what sticks and hope the other guy is better, I don't want to overpay
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree. I mean, something, out of Buffalo, you say Buffalo's got a couple good goalies. If you can work that deal and go swinging for the grand slam in game 7 and get Thompson and a goalie, that'd be pretty hard to say no to, I think.
The issue is they wouldn't want to take Montembeau because they're trying to get rid of a goalie,
Yeah.
right? So, unless they have a second deal worked out somewhere else. And
Mhm.
if that team falls by the wayside, I know their new general manager is trying to re-sign Tuck, but if you're making a deal, maybe you're getting Uka Pekka and Alex Tuck, and you're sending Reinbacher, and maybe you tell them you'll take Montembeau and retain half of Monty's salary to help them out.
Mhm.
Hey, look, we won the Carey Price trade. We didn't have to give up a first rounder to
Mhm.
get rid of him. So
Mhm.
I put nothing past these two guys.
Yeah. Okay. So that'll wrap up this episode of what's going on with the goaltending situation in Montreal. Um, let's get right to our trivia answer.
So we have to go all the way back in the Throwback Thursday time machine to go back to 1986, where we had some gangly rookie. Um, you might know him, St. Patrick Waugh
Mhm.
was a Calder Trophy winner. So, yeah, the big old wink. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if someone thought Carey Price was the guy. I know you went immediately to Dryden. Jose Theodore might have came to mind because he won a Hart Trophy. We are blessed that we have had a run of goaltenders in this franchise that have put us over the promised land. And I mean, even if you want to go with the one-hit wonder, Steve Penny came in and was lights out for a little bit of time. We seem to have caught lightning in a bottle. We need that now with one of these two guys. So stranger things have happened, but there's some ghosts that are maybe cheering them on.
Yeah. Okay, with that, that'll conclude this episode of Behind Enemy Lines Hockey Podcast. Thanks for watching. Remember, as always, like, share, comment, subscribe. I think we're at 40 now, subscribers and growing. I think the next big hurdle we should shoot for is 100. So again, let us know what you think. Comment, let us know, and keep watching. We thanks for watching.
Yeah, and as always, keep your stick on the ice.